Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whatever time you're watching this, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of your family and of your friends and of yourself, most importantly. I hope you're doing well in your curriculars. I hope you're doing well in your extracurriculars and that you're taking efficient efforts to prepare well for the examination coming up ahead. With that, we begin today's lecture. Today's lecture is on industries. Today's session is on industries. What do we understand by industries? What are the basic kinds of industries? What's necessary for industry to set up? What are the basic factors which just describe the location, which determine the location of an industry? So, yes, and how basically industries are an integral part of our lives and which ones are the major industries that we function with the help of. So this is basically in total that we'll cover in this topic. Okay, and yes, let's go ahead and do this. Before that, please keep your notebooks and your pens handy. Keep making notes and understanding well, just like in pointers and stuff, but just do that. Right now, in front of you is an industry over here. Let's see. Industries refer to economic activities that involve the production of goods or the provision of services to meet the needs and demands of individuals, businesses, and society as a whole. Industries encompass a wide range of sectors and activities that contribute to economic growth and development. So, industries refers to what is basically an industry? Industry refers to economic activities that involve the production of goods or the provision of services. So, basically, what is the work of an industry? It is the production of goods or the provision of services. That is, services. The basic what are the two things that industries can do is one, produce goods out of raw materials, and secondly, provide services in the sense that there is a sector which is basically working to fulfill the requirements that the society has and the demands that society has in form of services, but not in form of goods, but in forms of services. Industries encompass a wide range of sectors and activities that contribute to economic growth and development. So, industries help in economic growth and development. Classification of industries, basis of raw materials used. So, classification of industries is done on a variety of bases. First is the basis of raw materials used. So, what are raw materials here? Can be raw materials, can be, fruits, let's say, can be vegetables, it can be cotton, it can be wood, it can be iron ore. So these are basically raw materials that can be used in these industries. Okay, so first is agricultural based industries. These industries use agricultural products or raw materials derived from farming activities, and examples include food processing, dairy products, sugar mills, vegetable oil extraction, and beverage production. So basically, agricultural based industries, or as they are known as agro based industries, these use agricultural products or the raw materials that are generated from farming. So if a farmer is involved in the production of raw materials, it is considered agricultural based industries. And what are the various categories that fall into it? What are the examples? Dairy products selling, or sugar mills, or vegetable oil extraction, stuff like that. Mineral based industries. These industries use minerals extracted from the earth as raw materials. The raw materials used in mineral based industries, as the word itself suggests, are minerals, and this includes mining and quarrying industries such as coal mining, iron ore mining, gold mining, cement manufacturing, and ceramic production. Next up, we have forest-based industries. These industries use raw materials obtained from forests. So here the forests come into play. This could be timber, wood pulp, and various other forest products. Examples include sawmills, paper mills, furniture manufacturing, and wood-based products like plywood and fiberboard. Marine based industries. These industries utilize resources obtained from oceans, seas, or other water bodies. So, what do these industries do? They depend on the various sources like oceans, seas, and other water bodies from which certain things are obtained and which can later be processed by this industry and work ahead on it. So this includes fishing, seafood processing, salt production. So these are some things that are extracted from oceans and seas and later are put in the industry and accordingly follow through with the various procedures that are required and come out as finished or a byproduct. So this is basically the 4 distinctions of under basis of raw materials used. There can be more. The thing is with classification is that it can be on a lot of bases. This is just a generalized one that we're studying. This is a more accepted form of classification that we're studying, but within that itself, it can be a lot of classifications inside it as well. Okay, so size. Now, the second basis of classification is size. On that, we have one which is small scale industries. These industries have a small investment and production capacity, typically operated by individuals or small groups of people. So they have what is the characteristic of a small scale industry? That it has a small investment and accordingly follows with a small production capacity, and it is operated by a small group of people or just an individual. So like people open industries back at their homes as well, or people open industries in their villages. A group of people do that, and which later flourishes or maybe does not, but something of that sort. Okay. Yes. Next, we have large scale industries. These industries involve significant investment and have a large production capacity, employing a large number of workers. So, these industries, which is large scale industries, now over here, as the name suggests, what happens is that the number of people employed becomes larger. There are more people who are employed who are looking at the production capacity, and accordingly there is investment which is there, and the investment made is also significant. So it's not a small space, or it is not a small area or small investment, but it is a large area, and it has accordingly a large production capacity, and hence this makes it a large scale industry. Ownership. So the third category that comes in is ownership. One is private sector. The first is private sector industries. These industries are owned and operated by private individuals or companies for profit. So private sector industries, as the name suggests, it is owned by a private industry is owned by one individual or a set of individuals like 3-4 people, or some companies, one company or 2-3 companies which particularly own this industry, and the sole motive of these industries to earn profit. Public sector industries. These industries are owned and operated by the government or state authorities. Public sector industries, name suggests. The thing is, it's very easy to understand this because the name itself says it. So these are industries which are owned and operated by government or state authorities. These industries are jointly, the thing is, government or state interferes with these industries and maybe or function. It is under those industries itself, under the government, under the state government or the central government. Okay. Joint sector industries. These industries are jointly owned and operated by both the government and private companies. Joint sector industries are endeavors that are done by government to possibly make things easier, to not have to handle a lot of industries, and private companies to be affiliated to the government. So these are called joint sector industries. Next is cooperative sector industries. These industries are owned and operated by cooperative societies or groups of individuals who work together for their mutual benefit. Cooperative sector industries are usually common back in villages, and they are owned and operated by cooperative societies. It's a bunch of people who come together and they as a whole decide to set up an industry, set up a small industry, cooperative industry, and hence work on it for their mutual benefit. And the benefit that is earned is divided mutually amongst them. What is an example of a cooperative sector industry? Amul. Amul is a big example of cooperative sector industries. Okay. Moving ahead. Factors affecting location of industries. Now we see what basically are the factors that there's a location of industry that's set up, and what are the basic factors that are necessary for you know to keep in mind before setting up an industry over there. So but before we go to the text, let's look here. What does this diagram has to say? Okay, so it says choice of a factory location. Here it says materials. Here it says transport costs, market, energy, workforce, and other factors. Okay, all right. So these are certain things that in the diagrams itself has been said that are necessary for choice of a factory location. But we shall go a little deep and understand why these are important so as to have a better knowledge about what we are going ahead with. So first is availability of raw materials. Industries that heavily rely on specific raw materials such as mining, agriculture or forestry tend to locate near the source of those materials to minimize transportation costs and ensure a stable supply. Okay, so let's look here. Industries that heavily rely on specific raw materials. So what are these ones? These are the agro-based industries. Right. So these are the ones which heavily rely on specific raw materials such as mining, agriculture or forestry, and hence they locate their industries near the source from where they get the material. And like if let's say if I am someone who has an iron and steel industry, so I will locate my industry near an iron ore mine, so that the transportation cost that it requires for my company to bring in iron ore is less, that I don't have to pay a lot of transportation cost because it increases with the distance that it increases, and that I have a stable supply. What if I one day I lose, one day I don't have a lot of it and I can't go and I don't have the time or the money to get a new supply. So what will I do? So it's that if I have a proximity to the area, then I can easily transport what I need, and I also can have a stable supply of the same. Proximity to markets and customers. Industries often prefer to locate near their target markets or customer base to reduce transportation costs, ensure timely delivery of goods, and respond quickly to customer demands. So proximity is required to markets and customers. Why? Because transportation costs will be reduced, the delivery of goods will also be on time, which leads to customer satisfaction, and that's very necessary. And accordingly respond quickly to customer demands. If I respond quickly to customer demands, the customer will be happy and maybe bring in more customers. Transportation and infrastructure. Access to transportation networks including roads, railways, ports and airports is crucial for the movement of raw materials, finished products and workforce. So there needs to be a good access to transportation networks, because without that a lot of things become difficult for the people who are in the industry, because it does not just involve one step. There are multiple steps that are necessary, that are required to make a final product. So access to transportation networks including roads, railways, ports and airports. So there needs to be a good access to various modes of transport, because of on the basis of what industry I'm working on. Okay. And this is why is it necessary for the movement of raw materials, finished products and workforce. The presence of supportive infrastructure like power supply, water resources and telecommunication also plays a vital role. So along with transportation, the infrastructure is also necessary, that I need to have a good power supply, I need to have good access of water resources, and I need to have good communication, as in telecommunication, like I can call someone or I can very easily connect to someone over a meeting or something or the other. Availability of skilled labor. Industries require a skilled workforce for efficient operations. The availability of skilled labor, including technicians, engineers and specialized workers, is an essential factor in choosing a location. So availability of skilled labor or unskilled labor, it depends on the industry that we are working with actually. So it's basically, it says the availability of labor. If the labor or the workforce is not there, then who will work? Who will do the work? So I need to have a good amount of workforce. I need to have a good skilled or unskilled workforce as and when required according to the task, so that I can choose a better location. Proximity to suppliers and supportive industries. Certain industries benefit from being close to suppliers. Yes, if I have another industry that supplies to me, so of course that is easier because transportation costs reduce. I have a good communication with the industry, with the supplier, and I can always ask for certain favors or something or the other. Clustering of industries can promote efficiency, collaboration, and access to a specialized workforce or infrastructure. So it happens that maybe 3-4 industries which are very dependent on each other, which are codependent, which are interdependent. So these industries all set up their bases around each other somewhere in the same area, so that it becomes easier and it becomes more efficient to work. Market and business environment. Factors like local market demand, competition, economic stability, political stability, and ease of doing business can influence the location decisions of industries. Anywhere where people will be happy to have my industry, where the people who are involved in the entire process are being fair and they respect that I'm working over here, is somewhere where I would rather set my business than some place where people will not be happy with the business, right? Yes. Now we come to an industrial system. An industrial system refers to the interconnected network of industries, suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and consumers involved in the production and distribution of goods and services. It involves various stages of production, from obtaining raw materials to the final delivery of finished products to customers. Okay, so what is an industrial system? It is an interconnected network of industries, and it involves suppliers being there, the one who gives me the supply, manufacturers, the one who processes the entire thing, distributors, the one who delivers the entire thing, and consumers, the person who is consuming that what I am producing. So all of these people who are involved in the production and distribution of goods and services, this entire system is known as industrial system. So it involves various stages of production. So the various stages of production involved in it is from obtaining raw materials to the final delivery. So that's when the entire thing comes to an end. So it consists of inputs. What are inputs? Raw materials, labor, costs of land, transport, power, and other capital. By other capital, we mean money, that is investment, and we also mean any kind of machinery that is required, any kind of physical equipment that is necessary for functioning, for the processing. And second, we have processes, which means after inputs, there's inputs, there's processes and outputs. Within inputs, we have raw materials, labor, cost of land, transport, power, and other capital. The processes here are manufacturing into products. So the process of manufacturing a certain raw material into a product is known as processing. And outputs, which is products and income. So what is the output out of all this work that has been done? The consumer gets the products, I get the income. Okay. Industrial regions. Industrial regions are geographical areas that have a concentration of industries which share the benefits of their closeness. These regions often develop due to presence of favorable factors like access to raw materials, skilled labor, transportation networks, and infrastructure. So over here we have a picture of Silicon Valley in USA. It's a very famous IT region. So this is Silicon Valley, USA. So the thing is, what is an industrial region? First, let's see. Okay, so this is a geographical area and it has a concentration of industries, as in there are a lot of industries over here, like a lot of industries. You can see how crowded the Silicon Valley is. And actually that is like one of the most industrialized regions. So it can be smaller ones as well, but the thing is, it contains a lot of industries, and these industries, what's the main necessary requirement for these industries to be set up at the same place is that what I am supplying is something that the other industry right there is buying, or what I am selling, what I am producing is what this industry will use as a raw material and later function with it. So that is basically the reason for this proximity, and this develops. Why does how does an industrial region develop if there is good access to raw materials? Again, all the factors that we discussed in this location, this setting up of location of the industry. So this develops if there is a good access to raw materials, skilled labor, transportation networks, and infrastructure. These tend to be located in temperate areas, near seaports, and especially near coal fields. So why is that? Because temperate areas, may the weather is nice, everything, the requirements are done. It's a good environment that is out there. Near seaports, because that is where trade comes from. That is where a lot of large amount of cargo is delivered. And infrastructure. I mean, in seaports, also the thing is that navigation becomes easier. And near coal fields. Coal fields, because coal is very necessary for a lot of things. It's necessary for the working of thermal power plants as a whole, it's in itself, and that is necessary for electricity generation. So, industries help each other develop as well. In India, the industrial regions are Mumbai-Pune cluster, Hooghly region, Bangalore, Tamil Nadu region. So these are certain examples of the industrial regions in India. Search this down, you'll find maybe areas not as crowded as this, but somewhere, something like this. And other examples are Silicon Valley in California, USA, and the Ruhr Valley in Germany. So similarly, there's a Ruhr Valley in Germany as well. Yes, let's go ahead. Major industries. What are some major industries? Iron and steel industry. So the iron and steel industry involves the production of iron ore, which is then converted into steel through a process called smelting. So iron and steel industry involves the production of ore. The iron ore is produced, but like how is the iron ore produced? It is mined, which is then converted. This iron ore is then converted into steel, which is an alloy, which is really helpful, which is almost required everywhere these days. And how is that done? Through the process of smelting. Steel is an alloy of iron and carbon with additional elements added to enhance its properties. So when a normal iron is added with carbon and other metals, its properties are enhanced, its properties are changed a little bit, and it becomes easier to use it in daily requirements, to fulfill our daily requirements. It can be classified into various types based on its composition and properties. What is it over here? Steel. These include carbon steel, alloy steel, stainless steel, and tool steel. So we use stainless steel a lot in houses, around ourselves. So stainless steel is required a lot. Each type has specific applications in different industries such as construction, automotive, aerospace, and manufacturing. Now the steel has multiple uses. So you see how important this is. The iron and steel industry is a significant sector in many economies worldwide. It provides essential materials for infrastructure development, including buildings, bridges, and transportation systems. The industry also supports manufacturing sectors such as machinery, appliances, and construction equipment. So it is significant in many industries and economies worldwide. It provides essential materials for infrastructure development and how, where, in which infrastructure are they used? In buildings, bridges, transportation systems. So steel is very necessary for that. And then as a whole, iron and steel industries are very necessary. Major steel producing centers in India are Bhilai, Durgapur, Burnpur, Jamshed, and Rourkela and Bokaro. So what are some very important producing iron and steel producing centers? Bhilai, Durgapur, Burnpur, Jamshedpur, Rourkela, and Bokaro. Speak with me. Bokaro, Rourkela, Jamshedpur, Burnpur, Durgapur, Bhilai. Spread over states West Bengal, Jharkhand, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh. This is the region where minerals are also found. So, what is one region where a lot of minerals are found? It's called the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So these are areas surrounding that area also. Wahi. TISCO, what is TISCO? Was the first major steel producing company established in 1907 at Jamshedpur. So what is TISCO? TISCO was the first, if I'm not wrong, Tata Iron and Steel Company something was the first major steel producing company established in 1907. When was it established? 1907 at Jamshedpur. It was in the private sector. The proximity, now what made that location well? The proximity to markets, availability of water from rivers, and railway connectivity made it a suitable region for setting up of the industry. Next up, we have cotton textile industry. India was the leading country in 18th century but could not face the competition from the mechanized weaving of Western world. So this cotton textile industry, India was the leading country in 18th century at one point of time. But then with the advent of industrialization, with the invention of spinning jenny, India lagged behind, and yes, it could not compete with the Western world. So this industry is based on cotton, jute, flax and silk. Textile mill in Mumbai was the first successful mill established in 1854. Ahmedabad is known as the Manchester of India. So you see three things now. Actually four. So first, India was the leading country in 18th century. Second, textile mill in Mumbai was the first successful mill established in 1854. Ahmedabad is known as the Manchester of India, and Osaka is known as Manchester of Japan. Okay. IT. The IT industry encompasses various activities related to software development, IT services, IT enabled services, ITES, business process outsourcing, BPO, and more. It involves the use of technology to develop software applications, provide IT solutions, and offer digital services. The main factors guiding the location of these industries are resource availability, low cost, and adequate infrastructure. So what is the basic, what comes under IT industry? A lot of things. Software development, various IT services, various IT enabled services, and BPO. There's like a lot to write, but this is some of it. And the technology is used to develop software applications, provide solutions, and also offer digital services. So what are the main features that factors that guide the location of these industries? It's resource availability, low cost and adequate infrastructure, and yeah. And then the major hubs include Silicon Valley, California in the USA, and Bengaluru. Bengaluru is also known as the Silicon Valley of India. And Hyderabad and Delhi NCR in India. IT sector provides jobs to maximum population in the service sector. So IT sector also provides jobs to a lot of people in the service sector. Alright, with this we end this topic. Now we move on to another topic which is in some way or the other related to it, which talked about the proximity of markets, right? So now we shall understand these markets. Okay, it's again a very small but informative topic, and we shall read through it. We shall discuss what it is. Yes, let's go ahead. Basically, what we will be doing is we will be understanding what a market is, and then we will be understanding the classification of markets. That is all that comes in the scope over here. We shall not go very economically deep into it. We shall only understand how markets function in a very small, normal way, so that it registers in your brain that this is how it happens. Okay. Introduction. A market is a physical or virtual space where buyers express their demand and sellers offer their products or services at a mutually agreed upon price. In a market, buyers and sellers come together to engage in voluntary transactions aiming to satisfy their needs and wants. Okay, let's start. What is a market? A market can be a physical or a virtual space, and where buyers, I am a buyer, let's say, and you are a seller. I tell you, I want burger today. And you as a seller of a burger joint will give me the burger. Now, what is required for me to take that burger from you? Money, a medium, not money, a medium of exchange is required. That I give something to you and then you will give that burger to me. And this medium of exchange that all of us have agreed upon is money. Everyone in the world agrees that they will need to provide money or to get a service legally, or to get it in the right way. So I will get it when I give you money, and you will give the food to me. I am satisfied, I got the food. You are satisfied, you got the money. So we mutually agreed. When two people together agree on a certain thing, that's called mutual agreement. Okay, so we agreed upon the price. In a market, buyers and sellers, so buyers and sellers come together in a market. It's not just one buyer or one seller, multiple buyers, multiple sellers, multiple buyer come together, multiple sellers come together, and voluntary transactions take place. That is, both the parties agree to it. It's voluntary. It's not something that is being forced out of me. I am saying yes to it. The other person is also saying yes to it. My needs and wants are fulfilled. Your needs and wants are fulfilled. That is how a market functions. Classification of market. First, based on the number of buyers and sellers. Monopoly. A market structure where there is a single seller or producer of a good or service with no close substitutes. The seller has significant control over the price and supply of the product. It is called a non-competitive market. So what is a monopoly? Monopoly is when you are the sole person who is producing that good or service, and no one else is coming, like no one else produces anything that comes closer to that service. So it's not like people can go to anyone else if they require that. They will only have to come to you to buy that certain product or certain service. And the seller, and because of that, since the person does not have a lot of options, what happens is that the seller has a significant control over the price. I as a seller can control the price and the supply of the product because I am the only one who is selling it. So I have a higher upper hand over here. Okay. And because there are no other companies or other buyers other sellers who are there competing with me, it's called a non-competitive market. What is the next? We have monopsony, a market structure where there is a single buyer or a good or service with many sellers. So now I am a single buyer and I have variety of options. I have like 5 shops where I can shop from, but I am only one person who's going to buy it. So the buyer has significant control over the price and demand of the product. So now I have the upper hand, and I can say that I have the control over the price. I will decide what the price will be. I will have a bigger say in the price, and accordingly, I will decide the demand for it. Regardless of the supply being a lot, I can accordingly choose that I want to buy this. Okay. Based on geographical location. First is rural market. According to National Sample Survey Organization definition, rural market is that area which has less than 5,000 population. So what is it? 5,000 population. A population density less than 400 person per square kilometer, and 75% of the male are employed as agriculturists. 75% of the male, that's population, are employed as agriculturists. So this is what a rural market is. This is how a rural market is made. What? People should be less in number than 5,000. Over 1 kilometer square area, they should be less than 400 people. And 75% should be, more than 75% should be involved in agriculture. Okay, now let's see. Consumer profile. Rural markets are composed of a diverse consumer base including farmers, agricultural workers, rural residents, and small business owners. The income levels and purchasing power of rural consumers are generally lower compared to urban consumers. So over here, it's a diverse consumer base. It includes farmers, agricultural workers, residents, and very small business owners. But the income levels and the purchasing power in this market is low. That people cannot buy more than a certain amount of income that they have. Product demand. Rural consumers often have specific needs and preferences influenced by their agriculture and rural lifestyle. So if you're from a rural area, you'll have a certain demand, right? You will only buy the certain thing. Now, you're living in a rural area, you will not want to, you will not be required to have like a Mercedes, right? That is not your demand. They require agricultural inputs, farm equipment, fertilizers, seeds, and other rural specific products. What you require in that area, in that environment, is what you will buy. Nothing else will be required, right? Basic necessities, consumer durables, services such as healthcare, education, financial services are also in demand. Of course, that is like a basic necessity. Basic facilities, including certain agricultural needs that need to be fulfilled. Distribution and infrastructure. Rural markets typically face challenges related to infrastructure, transportation, and access to markets. So, you're living in a rural area, you will face certain challenges related to infrastructure, transportation, and access to markets, because there is less of all this. There's less connectivity that is there. The distribution channels, networks may be less developed, and logistics can be more complicated, which can impact the availability and affordability of products in rural areas. Okay. Seasonal variations. Rural markets are often influenced by seasonal factors. Now, there are crop cycles, there are Rabi crops grown, Kharif crops grown, Zaid crops grown. So, accordingly, there are seasonal cycles for the demands for the agricultural inputs. Not every time is someone growing something, okay? So, it fluctuates according to the demands of the season. Communication and technology. While there may be limitations in terms of internet connectivity and digital infrastructure, advancements in communication technology have made inroads into rural areas. Mobile phones and digital platforms are increasingly being used to bridge the gap and facilitate market transactions. Urban market. Urban market can be defined as such market in which there are at least 5,000 individuals, a population density of at least 400 per square kilometer, and 75% of the population is engaged in non-cultural activities. So in urban markets, what we have, we need 5,000 se zyada individuals. The population density should be at least there should be 400 people in per square kilometer, and 75% of the population should be engaged in non-agricultural activities. So that is necessary for a market to be an urban market. Yes, what are urban markets? Urban markets, basically, as I said, at least 5,000 individuals should be there. It can exceed, but that is the minimum requirement. Okay, and their population density should be more than 400 people per square kilometer, and 75% of the population should be engaged in non-agricultural activities. Urban markets are characterized by concentrated marketing. The firm concentrates its efforts on catering to the needs of one specific sector. So here the thing is, even though in rural markets there are like multiple, people don't like concentrate on just one thing. Over here, people do that. Urban markets benefit from well-developed transportation networks, logistic systems, and distribution channels. Of course, it's in urban areas, so the thing is, it will be better logistics, there will be better communication, there will be better networking. The presence of retail stores, malls, shopping centers, and e-commerce platforms facilitates the availability and accessibility of products and services to urban customers. So, the presence of outlets like retail stores, malls, and shopping centers will help in facilitating the availability and providing the access to products and services to urban consumers. Competition and market dynamics. Now in urban markets, the competition is relatively more, and why is that? Due to large number of businesses operating in close proximity. So in a small area, there will be like, you must have seen, you go out in your shop, so they're like same kind of like, you go to one sari shop and then you go 2-3 shops later and there's another sari shop right there. So there's more competition over there. And over here, what the thing is, market trends and consumer preferences in urban areas may change more rapidly, requiring businesses to be agile and responsive. Communication and technology. Urban markets are often at the forefront of technological advancements and digital connectivity. High-speed internet, mobile devices, and digital platforms play a significant role in urban consumers' shopping behavior, information access, and engagement with brands. So, presence of communication technology helps urban markets facilitate their working as well. Shopping malls and complexes. Shopping malls are large enclosed commercial complexes that house multiple retail stores, services, and entertainment facilities. They are designed to provide a convenient and diverse shopping experience for consumers, bringing together a wide range of products and services under one roof. So what do shopping malls and complexes do? They bring all kinds of services that are present out there, all kinds of services which are trending and which are required by an individual, and they place it in the same place. And shopping malls have become popular destinations for leisure activities, socializing, and retail therapy. National market. Geographical scope of national market. The national market operates within the borders of a specific country. It includes economic activities that take place across regions, cities, towns, and rural areas within the country. Legal and regulatory framework. So over here, legal framework comes into view as well. National markets are subject to the laws, regulations, and policies set by the government of the country. So government of the country sets certain requirements and certain laws and regulations for the policies. These regulations may include trade policies, taxation, consumer protection laws, and industry-specific regulations. Currency. Transactions in a national market are typically conducted using the national currency of a country. So now since it's national, it's like a lot of countries operating together. So now what happens is that the currency becomes really important over here. And the thing is that if you are operating in a certain country, if you're selling certain things to a country, if you want certain things from that country, so you particularly will usually have to work in the same currency that that country works in. On the basis of time, very short period markets. Very short period markets refers to markets where the time frame is extremely limited, typically ranging from minutes to a few hours. What is the example? The stock market, the stock exchanges, they keep falling and getting above and all of that. So that is an example of very short period markets. Short period markets. Short period markets have a slightly longer time frame compared to very short period markets. So here it's very short, it's shorter. And what happens? It typically ranges from few days to a few weeks. In these markets, some adjustments in production and consumption can be made in response to changes in the market conditions. So here you can make certain changes according to the market conditions that are there. Short period markets can include agricultural markets from perishable goods, where supply and demand are influenced by seasonal factors and crop cycles. Long period markets. Long period markets refers to markets where the time frame is relatively long, extending over several months, years, or even decades. So long period markets can include markets for durable goods such as automobiles, real estate, or infrastructure projects. So the thing is, in very short period of markets, in that small window, a lot of things can change in that particular market. In a short period of market, the window becomes longer. In long period of markets, it's a relatively longer window where you can work on. Weekly market. A weekly market, also known as weekend market or street market, is a type of market that takes place once a week, typically on a specific day of the week. These markets are temporary and set up in a designated area. So you must have seen, it's pretty common from where I come from and where I live, that there are like Sunday markets, Monday markets. So stuff like that, that is called a weekly market. On the basis of nature of transaction. So how the transaction processes, what kind of money and how money is used, that is what we see over here. Spot. A market where goods are traded for immediate delivery and payment. So on spot markets, the thing is, you deliver at the same point of time, you have to pay at the same point of time. Future, a market where contracts for delivery of goods or services are made for future dates, with the price agreed upon the time of contract. So a contract is set down, and later in the future, the delivery of goods and services or whatever payment that needs to be done is done in the future. But for that, contract needs to be set up. On the basis of regulation, a market that is subject to government regulations, rules, and oversight to ensure fair competition, protect consumer interests, is called a regulated market. So as the word says, it's regulated. The government regulations and laws are in power over here. Unregulated, a market that operates without significant government intervention or regulation, allowing for more freedom in pricing and business practices. In unregulated markets, the government does not intervene, or it does not come and regulate the market, so there is more freedom in pricing. Regulated markets become strict in their pricing and in the way that they function. Chain of markets. A chain of markets refers to a network or series of interconnected markets owned or operated by the same company or organization. These markets are typically part of a larger retail or distribution strategy, where the company aims to expand its presence and reach a broader consumer base. Each market within the chain operates as an individual unit while being linked through common ownership, branding, and operational systems. So chain of markets is a network of markets or a series of interconnected markets which are operated by the same company or organization. So it's maybe the thing is, it's selling the same thing, or it's selling certain thing like dairy products, but of various kind of dairy products, or maybe even selling meat. So it's like their function, or they are looked after by the same organization and a company, but it's different kind of markets that are set up. And the main aim is for the company to expand its presence and reach a broader consumer base, broader customer base as well. Yes, so with this, we come to an end of this chapter as well, with this unit as well, this lecture as well, this topic as well, understanding markets. We covered industries before this, so it kind of is connected in certain ways, and hence we shall, we were able to understand it better in the same lecture. And with that, we come to an end for this session. I hope you enjoyed what you learned, and you understood what you learned, more importantly, and that you shall try to maybe look into it more if it suits you. Anyways, that I shall take your leave. Keep making notes, keep yourself healthy, and goodbye. Thank you for joining this and watching the entire session.